Hey guys, how's it going? It's Wednesday. Thought we'd do some cooking together. I know in yesterday's video I talked about we were going to do taco meatloaf, which we are going to do taco meatloaf, but it's not today, or we would do the broccoli patties. So I chose the broccoli patties only because it's something completely different. It can be made for anybody to eat. I have friends that are vegan. I have friends that are vegetarian, um, and combinations of all that. I have lots of friends that are meat eaters. Either way. But I wanted to try something that sounded good, had stuff in it that I liked. That would be for maybe a little more people. You could also use this if you made them small enough, broccoli patties small enough, as a side. For this would go good as a side for maybe a roasted chicken with some garlic and thyme and things of that nature on it. But tonight we're going to use this as a main dish with, and we're going to side it with some roasted potatoes. I'm going to cut up some red potatoes, slather them with some oil, drizzle them, not slather, drizzle with some oil, and some herbs, and throw them in the oven and let them get nice and tender. But meanwhile, I am going to go ahead and start showing you guys how to make these broccoli patties. They sound really good, and I've learned a few things along the way. So let's start with going through the ingredient list. As always, I wrote it down, and I also doubled the recipe. This makes the original recipe, which is the one I'm going to give you, will make 4 patties. All right, so if you did want to use this as a good side dish, this would be great for a Sunday side. If you were if you get together with your family, which you should, on Sundays, and do a dish. This would make an awesome side dish for it. And that you should get together on Sundays for a family dinner. I'm talking to you, Taylor, Brian, just so you know. Stop by, see your mom. She misses you. All right, so anyhow, let's get started. First thing we're going to need is some quinoa. So quinoa, you say, what the heck is that? Because it's not something I've had a whole lot of experience with. I think Chris and me made it once or twice back in the day, but that is quinoa. You're saying, Brian, that looks like brown rice. Well, I mean, it's not. It's actually a seed. It looks like a grain, like rice or wheat, but it's not. It's actually a seed from the quinoa plant. So to give you a little history on it, because we looked this stuff up, it is a seed of the quinoa plant. It is a pseudo grain, not exactly a grain, but kind of a grain. In 2013, it was became by the UN. That's the United Nations, in case you didn't know. They nominated 2013 to be the year of quinoa because its potential to stop world hunger is amazing, and there's 3,000 different varieties of quinoa, which is crazy. And the Incas, they thought it was sacred. It was considered sacred by the Incas, bestowed upon them. And that's how important it is. It is so good for you and so healthy. And it actually, even by itself, doesn't taste bad. If you like brown rice, that's pretty much it. So that being said, on that same note, say you just don't like to try new things. You can substitute the quinoa with brown rice. But we wanted to try to keep this recipe, since we've never tried it before, as original to the recipe as possible. So the next thing you need is 1 diced scallion. As we all know, those are the little onion-looking things, part of the onion family. Never seen one before. That is what they look like. They are a root vegetable. Part of the onion family. They're red or / purple, like a red onion. That's really purple. Only smaller, a little sweeter. Lots of good flavor in them. You'll need 1 of those. You'll need a 1/4 cup of whatever chopped herbs you like. Hold on for me 1 second. Something just crashed in the second floor. Okay, emergency diverted. Sorry about that. I know it was only like a split millisecond for you, but my daughter, we just took apart an old bed yesterday to replace it with a new bed, and the old bed was still sitting in the hall, with the frame, the headboard, footboard, and rails, and Abby decided, because she has unlimited strength, to send the wooden bedside rails down the steps in the box that we put them in. So anyhow, back to where we were. We've got the broccoli, we've got the quinoa, we've got the scallions, herbs. So they recommended basil, dill, Italian parsley, or cilantro, and a quarter cup's worth of all that fresh. Okay, so here's one deviation I have from this recipe. I don't have any fresh. It does not give you amounts of each, just says quarter cup of seasonings. So, since I didn't have that, what I did was, with dry herbs, you want a half what it would be for fresh herbs. So in this case, if it was a quarter cup, it'd go down to an eighth of a cup. Now I am doubling this recipe. So I did a full quarter cup, but I used those herbs specifically in here, and that is a true quarter cup. But like I said, if you don't have the fresh and all you have is the dried, just use half of whatever it says fresh. And that holds true for just about any recipe. But put the herbs in it that you like. You put Italian seasoning in it. You could, whatever. I mean, the floor is yours on this aspect of it. The next thing you need is 1 egg. I've got it filled to the brim with egg because I'm doubling it, so there's 2 eggs in there. Pre-beat it. That helps things go smoother. So 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of salt. I have 2. A quarter teaspoon of pepper. I have 2 of those. 1 garlic clove minced. Now, I did not mince mine yet. Why? Because I use this press. It has holes on the bottom of it. Right there. You put them in this piece here, slides down in there, and presses it out the bottom where the holes are. And that will mince my garlic for me. I'm lazy like that. I hate to mince garlic. Or if you don't have that, per se, so you don't have any fresh garlic, you have a couple options there. It also says you can use a half a teaspoon of granulated garlic. If you don't have granulated garlic, powder will work also. This is what granulated garlic looks like. So I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's not. It's more like a salt. Like the grains are fine, like a salt grain, not like a powder. But you can use garlic powder, or if you have a small jar of minced garlic already in the fridge, which if you don't, you should, because garlic goes good with everything, and it's good for you. You can also use that. It calls for a quarter cup of breadcrumbs that I don't see where. Oh, right in front of me. Quarter cup of breadcrumbs. In this case, I'm using Italian seasoned breadcrumbs just to add some more seasoning to it. It's something that will go well with everything that's in this bowl right here. At least in my mind, it does. I told Chris, I can kind of see flavors, and which helps me to taste them in my mind before I put them together. So that way, it's a little less what will happen if this works or not. And right now, I can see this all going together. If you don't want to use breadcrumbs, an option for this would be almond flour. Almond flour is okay if you like almonds, or if you're used to eating it. We baked a couple cakes with them and with almond flour, and they weren't bad. I found the texture to be a little odd myself. On top of the fact, almond flour is very expensive. So if you are working on a budget, almond flour is not the way to go. It's very pricey. So breadcrumbs are an option for that. Then you need a half a cup of grated cheese. And it says 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil, but the olive oil is for the frying process. because we're gonna fry them up in the cast iron there. So give me just 1 second. When I come back, we'll go ahead and start cooking. I want to get things rearranged now that we've gone through the list. All right, back in 1 second. Okay, so we're gonna do this up in the food processor. A quick note with the broccoli and the quinoa, you want to make sure that your quinoa has no liquid left in it at all. You want no liquid in it. It should just be quinoa. And the broccoli, once you're done steaming it, you have to steam the broccoli. I am so sorry I didn't say that in the beginning. You want to pre-cook your quinoa unless you buy it already cooked. And the broccoli you want to steam to give it a head start. Don't cook the broccoli all the way. All right? So we've steamed our broccoli. I pre-steamed it before you even got here. And I cooked the quinoa before I even got here. If you go, but Brian, I don't have a steamer. All right, let me show you something real quick. I use things that you should automatically have in your kitchen. I used a pot, any size pot. Everybody should have either a colander, like you drain for spaghetti noodles, or a strainer, and a lid for your pot. That's all you need. You simply take your pot, put the strainer in it, or your colander, or whatever you have available for draining liquids off of pasta noodles or whatever. Put it in there, put the lid on top, and boom, steamer. Doesn't cost you anything, and every tool you just used is multi-versatile. All right, so that being said, we want to put the broccoli in here. Now remember, I'm double batching this so it looks really full. And then we want to, basically we're going to dump all our ingredients in here, and hopefully it all fits, or I'm going to be in big trouble. Or I may just have to half it. Yeah. It's going to be close, but I think we can do it. And quinoa, pepper, salt, seasoning. So you ask yourself, what do you do if it doesn't all go together? All right, well, I pre-spun some of the broccoli already. Well, pre-processed some of the broccoli already. So that way I knew I could make some room. But what if it doesn't go all together? You know, that's a good question. I have an answer for you. If it doesn't work out, you process your broccoli, then you take your broccoli out, you get a bowl, and you mix this all together by hand. It's not rough at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get most of this mixed up by hand, or in the processor. And like I said, all we did was put our seasonings in there, our eggs, our onions, our quinoa. The only thing I haven't put in yet has been the cheese, and that's because I'm currently out of room until I get this blended up a little better. And if it doesn't go, I can't get it in there, I'll get a bowl out and we'll mix it. Like I said, we're learning today. Me and you both. We're doing this together. So we shall see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to pulse this until it's all blended, or mixed. You're looking for something. We're looking for a consistency that's kind of like oatmeal almost. Because we haven't put the breadcrumbs in yet, which is another binder. We have the egg and we have the breadcrumbs. All right, well, let me get this mixed up, and I'll show it to you once I get done mixing it up, and we'll take it from there. All right, so I got everything mixed in there, but the breadcrumbs so far. Cheese is in there. Every ingredient we have is in there. Quinoa, broccoli, spices, egg, and it's mixed. So the next thing we need to do while the lid's on is we're going to start pulsing this. Now pulsing, you just do like a second at a time, and we're going to add in the breadcrumbs. Okay, I'm going to get these pulsed in, and when we come back, we'll be over at the stove. Okay, so in the interest of making sure that I've told you everything right, we're going to review a couple steps instead of going over to the stove first, or next. Well, that's what we'll be doing next after this. All right, so let's do a quick review of the ingredients. So first thing you need half a cup of quinoa, which you're going to cook. Just follow the directions on the back of the bag if you get it. But the short version of it is half a cup of quinoa rinsed, 1 cup of water, bring to a boil, turn down to a simmer, put a lid on it, and let it go for 10 to 12 minutes or until all the water's gone. Then take it off the heat and just let it sit without the lid on it so it doesn't get moisture. 4 to 5 cups of broccoli, steamed, with a steamer or like I showed you with the pan. 1 scallion, diced up. 1/4 cup of chopped herbs of your choice or dried herbs of your choice. Remember, if you're using dry herbs, half it, so make it 1/8 of a cup. 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1 garlic clove minced. If you don't have that, you can use granulated garlic or garlic powder. 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. If you're not into breadcrumbs, you can also use almond flour. Half a cup of grated cheese. 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil, which is what you need on there. Now, one thing I did forget to put in there and I had to stir it in was the garlic. But you take all of those ingredients, but the breadcrumbs initially, you put them in your food processor, you blend it up until it becomes a paste. You know, it'll be sticky and wet, you know, almost like that, but not quite as thick. And then you will, after you've got it to that consistency, kind of like a almond flour consistency, or the consistency of a grainy flour, you'll start to add your breadcrumbs in while the processor is running. So have the lid on it, take the little thingy out of it, add your breadcrumbs while it's running. It'll mix up, and when it's done, it should look just like this. You should literally be able to turn your hand upside down and it not just fall right off. That way you've got it at the right consistency. By the way, I'm here to tell you, I tasted it when it was on my fingers earlier and I was checking the consistency. And as long as you like broccoli and spices, oh my God, this stuff is good. I can't wait to try it fried. So, anyhow, now that we've gone back through the steps and processes, sorry, this is really good. Had to lick my fingers. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, with your steamed broccoli, once you take it off and it's steaming, as it's sitting there cooling, because that's what's going to happen while you're getting all your other stuff together and you're waiting on your quinoa. Anyhow, take a towel and pat your broccoli dry. If you don't get it dry and you put it in your food processor, you're going to have to add more breadcrumbs or almond flour to firm it up, because the broccoli will be really wet. So just pat it dry with a towel. That's what I did. So I'm back. I don't know exactly what happened with my phone at the end of that last segment before I moved over here, but it cut me off shy. So anyhow, we're at the point now we got our skillet nice and hot. There's oil down in there. I know it's heated enough to do this because it's smoking slightly, which I think you can see it on there. So what we're going to do is just put these down in. I need a small rubber spatula to scoop it all out. Flatten them out a little bit. See how they're nice and sticky? That means we know they were done right. And like I said, the original recipe, which is the one we just went over, if you just use it, it'll make 4 of these, and it looks like they'll be good sized patties to make. Now, according to the people who wrote this recipe, these are fragile creatures. Although I don't think they're any more fragile than a salmon patty. So that being said, I'm not going to tell you they're fragile, but it tells you not to move them for the first couple minutes or so. And if you're using a regular skillet and going really light on the oil, I think you should be okay, to be quite honest with you. I mean, as you can see right here, mine are moving around wonderfully. I do have about 4 or 5 tablespoons of oil in here versus the 2 to 3 the recipe called for, only because I want to get a good sear on them. But I am going to let them go for a few minutes. That is a key thing when you're frying anything, salmon patties, whatever. even in a non-stick pan, things can stick if you're not careful and you don't let them cook for a minute first, especially if you're using cast iron. Nothing is completely, I don't care what they say, nothing is completely stick proof. So when you put anything in a pan, let it cook for a minute or two. I'm going to let these cook for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to flip them over and let them cook for a couple minutes more to get a nice golden brown look. And I'll tell you what, I'll come back when I flip them so that way you can see what it looks like on the other side when I flip them. All right, I'll see you here in just a moment. All right, so I went ahead and flipped them. And as you can see, they got good color to them. Well, I mean, the light's always kind of funny around here. Let me turn that light a little bit. One of these days I'll remember to turn them. But they got a nice golden brown to them on the tops. And I'm telling you, these are going to be amazing. Like I said, well, you saw me taste it off my fingers, just the batter. So I can't imagine how these are going to taste fried. I'm sure they'll taste just as good, only warm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cooking these up. As I get done cooking these, like I cook these 4, and then I'll do the next 4 or 5. I'm going to put them on a pan on a cookie sheet, and I'm going to stick them in the oven. I got my oven set at the moment at 200 degrees to keep them warm. That way they can all be warm when they come out. You can reheat these if you want to make a bunch up and refrigerate them. Go for it. I would recommend, if you're going to put them in a Tupperware pan or a Tupperware container, to put like a piece of parchment paper in between them just in case, because they are a little fragile, but not horrible. I wouldn't go trying to throw one across the room and expect it to stay together. All right, well, when I come back, we'll take a look at the completely finished product, and I'll take a bite, and we'll talk about all the flavors. All right, I'll see you here in just one moment. All right, so got them all baked. Here's how we turned out. Not too shabby, not too shabby at all. They look good. They're green, just like broccoli, which is kind of weird for me, but that's all right. Like I said, if they taste half as good as they did prior to, you know, there's what they look like on the inside. Yeah, just like a salmon patty would, only with broccoli. I'm gonna give it a shot. See how it goes. I think it'll be just fine. That is really good. I mean, you can taste the broccoli. Obviously, it's a broccoli patty, but I mean, I can taste every spice I put in there. I can taste the dill. I can taste the oregano. I mean, everything. Parsley, thyme. I can taste the scallions. That's a real nice balance. I'm not exactly sure what I have in it. It's got a little bit of a kick, but it's got a little heat in it. I think if I were to add anything to this, would maybe be some diced jalapenos. But all in all, on its own, the site I got the recipe off of, which I don't remember the name of it, and if I think about it, I'll put it down on the description. Or you can just use my recipe. But it says, you should add a drizzle over it. You can add a drizzle over it, whether it's a Cajun seasoning or like a creamy whatever. Ranch would be amazing on this if you don't want to get fancy with the topping. Drizzle some ranch over this would be out of the world. I would definitely say this is a home run idea. Highly recommend you try it. And if you do try it, let me know. I would like your opinion on it because I think it tastes really good. It's got so much flavor in it with the seasonings and the broccoli and the quinoa. I'm impressed. It really turned out, I love doing new dishes and experimenting and seeing how they taste. But try this. I highly recommend you try it. Here, have a bite. I wish you could. And I wish you could smell it because it smells fantastic. So, like I said, we're going to plate this with some sliced up potatoes, with some thyme and probably rosemary on them, which I think will be amazing, along with a little garlic seasoning, garlic salt on them. You could also pair this up with some greens if you like greens, or a salad, or I mean, there's like a million and one things you can pair this up with. I don't know if I'd necessarily do another, like, I wouldn't pair it up with broccoli. It's already got broccoli in it. Or, maybe cauliflower or corn. Corn would be good with this. But this is definitely a healthy alternative, that seems like, even though it doesn't have a protein in it, so to speak, will definitely fill you up and keep you there for a while. And it's not bad for you. And it tastes fantastic. It really does. All right. Well, I'm going to finish getting the little things together for dinner. Enjoy some time with the family. I hope you try this. If you do, let me know. Tell me what you think. All right. I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. It will make their day a whole lot better, I promise. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.